Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. It's our privilege to review a book we've reviewed before. It's known as the Pink Book. More of that in a minute. It's actually got a long title, Consumer and Trading Standards, Law and Practice, now for 2017. It's a 5th edition. It's been written by Bryan, Lewin, MBE, and Jonathan Kirk, Queen's Counsel, with a team of specialist contributors, and it's been published by LexisNexis and Jordan Publishing. It was originally Jordan's, but now Lexis have taken over the mantle. Now, the book, we've given a title for our book review, the following: A First-Class Statement on Trading Standards in 2017 for Officials and Legal People Alike. And I think it goes a bit beyond that too now, because there are a lot of unrepresented parties and they should know about this book. Let's have a look at it. It's a heavy book, this one. It's the Pink Book, and it does come out as sort of screaming pink, I must say, to a certain extent. There's the front, but it's a good book, very good book indeed. There's the back of it. There's a lot of detail. You probably can't see too much of the detail on the back, but there is a lot there. Now, the book is over 1,000 pages long, and the index is by paragraph numbering. That's how you can find the information. It's quite a substantial index, because this is basically a main practitioner work, and certainly one that a lot of people use. There's the front of the index. Then we get to the main work itself. And you can see right at the back the structure is quite clear. There's paragraph numbering for the chapter number and then the part, and then you've got at the bottom footnoting. Now if we go to the front, you can see, again, it's a heavy book, this one. You can see at the front the first page there. Then you can see the basic detail from LexisNexis, and then the list of contributors. A very large number of contributors. I'll mention them again in a minute. Can't mention them all by name. Then there's a preface to the 5th edition, where they've just basically stated what they've updated. In fact, this comes from Carol Brady, the foreword itself, and then after that there's the preface to go with it. And in fact, Carol mentions a number of important things talking about the Pink Book, and she knows that this book itself is in fact one of the most important. She calls it an invaluable tool in the armoury of those involved in consumer protection. That's what it is. There's the preface to the 5th edition, and then I'll mention a little bit more about meningitis now and the British Heart Foundation later. Then there's the contents section. There we go. You can see how it runs through. There's a lot of stuff in the contents section. We get to the end of that. The last chapter is chapter 21, dealing with animal health and welfare. Then after that we get to the table of cases, large number of cases of course, and then statutes, and then after that statutory instruments, and then after that we just run through. You've then got the table of European legislation. Now I mention that because, notwithstanding the decision to leave the European Union, this European legislation will be with us for a very long time, so it's always going to be in most of these books. Then you've got the table of abbreviations, very helpful in this area because there are a lot of confusing abbreviations. Then the book is structured by having a little index for the chapter. It's chapter 1, the introduction, little index at the front, and then we get into the main work itself, and it starts off with Magna Carta. It says, clause 35, let there be 1 measure of wine throughout the whole kingdom, and 1 measure of ale, and 1 measure of corn, and 1 width of cloth. So you get some idea of, again, Magna Carta, not a religious thing, the basic rights, basic human rights if you like, but the very basics about what we do. Anyway, a heavy book. Middle of it you can see unfair trading. You can see what is put in there as well. So what do we say about the new Pink Book, 5th edition? Well, we welcome the comprehensive package of detail which is contained in it, has been compiled, as I say, by Bryan and Jonathan, with a team of 34 specialists to cover all the specific heads in the book. And where they are listed, they actually are listed by the specialism. So depending on what you're looking for, it'll show you, it'll explain who has been involved in that particular piece of work. It's over 1,000 pages long, known as the Pink Book, fondly known as the Pink Book. It remains the leading authoritative guide for everyone involved in consumer and trading standards law at all levels, for its meticulous and detailed advice. I certainly found it helpful. I've been involved in some of these matters in the past, both as an elected councillor and as a barrister at law. So I'm aware of the book, and I do think it's of great assistance to actually quite a wide range of readership. Its purpose throughout is to cover the full range of the work undertaken by consumer lawyers and trading standards officers in local authorities. So Lewin and Kirk do what I think is a brilliant job for us, with Brexit on the horizon and all that decision implies. Now, the new edition remains well described by all as a user-friendly text, even though the authors state that they do not really understand where Brexit will ultimately take the United Kingdom. So they give us a clear and exhaustive analysis of the law, including case law and its application, wording of the statutory provision, plus authoritative commentary and analysis of the practical issues, whilst we are in the Brexit limbo. And as I said before, there is obviously a lot of linkage with European legislation and various enactments, and they're not going to just disappear. It's not just going to fall away. It's going to be a slow process. And as I'm sure many will be aware, they'll know my views anyway about Remain, the fact is, now that we are leaving, we must try and salvage those bits that we want to keep. And I'm sure that will be the sensible approach for everybody who's now accepted the inevitable leaving of the EU. As I say, in fact, it's just what, at the moment, this book is just what you're looking for if you practice in what is this special area of law, at what I think is a confusing time for many. Now, the team of contributors have added new chapters to cover important points on the following issues set out in the preface, and I'm going to list those. They are listed at the back. This includes prices, including a brand new 2016 PPG, that's the Pricing Practices Guide, and a commentary on reference pricing, the retail price maintenance, the RRP, and comparative pricing against competitors, information including data protection, freedom of information, and Part 9 of the Enterprise Act, the interpretation of consumer law following the decision to leave the European Union, travel, including package travel, timeshare and compensation rights for delays and cancellations, rather appropriate today as British Airways have had a major failure. Interesting point there, I suspect, in its own right. And then advertising, including the guide to the ASA and the judicial review of ASA decisions. Now, I think, again, that's a fairly conclusive list. There is also a brand new update to cover the following. That's unfair commercial practices, plus the new May 2016 Commission guidance on the unfair contract terms. The edition naturally covers domestic and European case law, including the recent Supreme Court case decision in Beveson Parking I. And readers will find useful comments, of course, as usual, on product safety, including the European Union changes and the specific guidance on the Psychoactive Substances Act of 2016. Now, that's the detail, and those are the basic changes. They're listed on the back and in the preface. Now, the revised statement on consumer credit we found most helpful, including the changes to second mortgages and the FCA supervision. Consumer rights, of course, including additional commentary on the provision of services regulations, which cover the law in England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, I think are very well covered for those advising in this area of practice. And the editors again have donated all royalties for this publication to two charities, that's Meningitis Now and to the British Heart Foundation. And the law is as stated on the 5th of November 2016, and it's available as a book and as an ebook. And certainly this is a book that should be in every local authority office. It should be in every court as well, both magistrates and county court, because it's a very substantial authoritative work. There's the spine. And then I've mentioned a bit, the quotes of what's been included for the new edition are actually on the back cover, or part of it's on the back cover, and part of it is actually in the preface to the new edition. But as I say, just opening the book up, for instance, civil enforcement, that's always a very controversial area, an important area, again, probably for the impoverished litigant in person, the unrepresented party, who's not really going to have the money to get a lawyer, and this will give him or her some information. You can see the structure though, paragraph numbering and footnotes throughout, and then going on, that's all civil enforcement. Then we've got the consumer rights chapter and so on. As I say, at the front you've got a very detailed contents section, so that together with the index at the back, which is of course paragraph numbered, should make it easy for you to navigate your way around the book. Well, a big thank you to LexisNexis and to obviously to Jordan's, who originally published this work, and to all the people involved in what is a very substantial undertaking. We're very grateful to you. You make our lives a great deal easier by producing these books, and it's a big thank you to all of you. Do have a look at our review, of course, which is on the web and in the journals. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.